So just to start off with, obviously I've told you before in my Plunder game where I was talking about the Warzone meta, where I run two classes. So I run the M4A1 with Overkill using the Kar98K, and I run a Growl class with Ghost. So I'll talk you through my Overkill class first with the M4. So obviously, as I said, I rock the M4. And if I go to my attachments, these are the attachments I use. So I use the Monolithic Suppressor to keep it quiet in Warzone when I need it the most. And I keep the stock M16 Grenadier, which obviously increases the damage range, bullet velocity and recoil, so it keeps it stable and controlled and increases my range as well as my accuracy. I don't put a laser on it because I'm not really a fan of the lasers. They can make you stand out quite a bit in Warzone, especially when the circle gets smaller and smaller and a lot of enemies may be in close proximity. So I'm not really too much fan of the iron sight that's default for this weapon. So I've put the VLK 3x optic on it, which obviously helps if I'm quite far. It gives me that advantage for long range as opposed to short range too. I've got an underbarrel here, so for the underbarrel I use the Commando foregrip, which obviously improves recoil, stabilization and the aiming stability, because for me those two things are quite important. You know, I don't want a gun that has a high kick rate because I like to keep my finger on the trigger, so I want it to be stable and secure. To get me out of trouble, I use the 60 round mag because the standard 30 round mag is not enough. And the 50 round mags, I may not cut it because that extra bullet may make the difference while it's being fired consistently. So, and obviously I've got my Kar98K here, so I'll run through. I'm pretty sure I've run through this before, but I'll do it again. So I've got the Monolithic Suppressor on here again, similar to the M4, strictly because I want it to be quiet in Warzone, so I don't give away my location in close quarters. For a barrel, I've got Singard Custom 27.6 barrel, so obviously that increases the damage range, increases the bullet velocity and the recoil control. My top priority in the weapon is that it's stable, short range or long range. That's irrelevant for me as long as I can keep it under control and it's as effective. Because what a lot of people tend to do, which I've noticed actually, is that they want to go for a gun that's got a high TCK and can down someone in one bullet or two bullet, but if they can't keep the recoil or the velocity on point as well as the range on point, then it's really not going to be too effective if you miss a target, or coming back from missing a target may be a bit more difficult than expected. Again, I don't go with lasers as I mentioned. So my optic, I've got the variable zoom scope at the moment because I wanted to get this reticle, which I've already mentioned before in another video, but normally what I go for is the sniper scope. I actually prefer the sniper scope because I like how the optic itself feels more clearer to use as opposed to variable zoom scope. I know that may sound a bit weird, but that's just my preference. I don't have an underbarrel, however I use a rear grip, the rubberized grip tape, to keep it under control and avoid high recoil, and I also use sleight of hand because loading the bullets individually can be quite time consuming, especially if you're close quarters or, you know, if you're in a fight, you know, you need to kind of be quite quickly about it. And my next class is my Ghost setup with the Growl. So with the Growl, once again I'm rocking the Monolithic Suppressor because it is the best muzzle there, and obviously to keep me quiet when I need it. I've also got the Tempest 26.4 inch Archangel barrel, which also improves damage range, the bullet velocity and the recoil control. I don't have an optic on this because the Tempest Archangel barrel actually gives quite of a nice iron optic that's quite accurate. You can be quite on point with it, so I keep that. For the underbarrel, I use the Ranger foregrip again for recoil control and aiming stability because I prefer that the gun is more stable rather than powerful. Again, I have the 60 round mag just because the 50 round mag may not quite cut it for me. That extra 10 could be the difference between life and death and winning and losing the Warzone games. And finally I have Frangible. So what this does is slows down the enemy movements, briefly disable tactical sprints when shooting legs. So if they're running away from me, one hit to the leg or one hit anywhere and it stops them, and obviously that gives me more of an opportunity to down them in Warzone when I need to. So that's what I'm using, and obviously I've platinum that as well because it's part of the assault rifles. For my secondary, I'm using the Joker. So obviously you get a lot of players that, you know, rock helicopters, ATVs, flatbed trucks, 4x4 jeeps. When they're running from you or they're trying to get at you, the Joker is very, very useful because it locks onto them and you can actually destroy the whole vehicle. I've had one instance where I've downed someone with this, which I got lucky because obviously they know that the rocket is actually coming towards them, so they bail out of the cars or the helicopters before it actually hits them, so they're not downed. But it's still an effective weapon to use nonetheless because actually stopping them from going much, much further. And obviously I rock a Claymore and heartbeat sensor for both because when we hold down a specific area, especially when the circle is much smaller, the Claymores are very effective and the heartbeat sensor is very effective when the other players are not using Ghost. So yeah, that's pretty much my setup. I just wanted to let you guys know. Obviously I'm using the M4 and the Growl a lot, you know, those are the only two I use. Obviously I tried the Al Raqqa as I mentioned in my Warzone meta video, and I paired it with the FFAR. I didn't really talk about the FFAR a lot purely because I'm getting a lot of opinions about the FFAR saying that they may have nerfed it. The FFAR may actually die down from the meta, but the AUG is still very much in the meta. So yeah, that is essentially my setup. Right, on to the video. Hello and welcome to another Resurgence Trios game. This game was a very interesting one because I was not expecting to get the win in this game, as the chances of getting a win looked very bleak from the start. To start off, we dropped on the south of chemical engineering near the harbour area, since my teammates wanted to go there. I couldn't just leave them and work on my own, because the odds of me actually making it through on my own are pretty much nil. So I followed my teammates into their building and started looting. It took me a while to actually find a weapon, because there was not much around the area where we dropped. I overheard my teammates were in trouble, so I rushed over there and helped pick off a straggler that downed one of my teammates. Soon, I dropped my cash and signaled to the buy station to grab out loadout to give all of us a fighting chance.
Copy cash drop.
I went for my overkill setup thinking that I would be able to grab my ghost class and a free loadout drop that came into the game automatically. From the harbour area we pushed south towards the Nova 6 factory. With all our weapons ready and someone I picked up on Heartbeat, I had a target and I stuck with it. Saying that it was an eventful push is pretty much an understatement. Take a look at it yourself.
Planting Claymore. They're on me.
Then my teammate played an awesome move by going round for the flank and eliminating them. I should have pushed with him in the front, but I didn't have much bullets and I needed to play up. Then this miracle happened to me. I actually cannot believe I got out of that. I thought for sure I was done for, since cancelling the play up was impossible in 2 seconds. So with my ammo issue resolved, I charged in hoping I can get a down or an elimination, but my teammates already beat me to it. With full plates and slightly more ammo than before, I felt confident to grab the win. Guys, what you are about to see next pretty much sums up the reason why I have the preference of keeping my gun stable and controlled rather focusing on power and speed. I am still in shock that I was able to down both and eliminate both these players simultaneously. I would have thought at least one of them would have got me or even cracked my armor, but there was absolutely no drama going on. I saw some enemies that redeployed pushing into the Nova 6 factory, so I tried to pick them off, but I completely forgot 3 things. 1, that I had my M4 out. 2, that I had to reload it after missing so many shots I couldn't even hit a barn door to save my life. And 3, that I had my Kar 98K ready as my secondary. I think I need to work on remembering those things. Anyway, we kept that building we were in until we saw where the next circle pushed to. With Rebirth disabling soon, I knew not having my ghost class would come back to haunt me, but I couldn't just bail on my teammates and go on my own, so I stayed put, as there is always strength in numbers. After seeing enemies on the balcony, I tried to snipe them with my Kar 98K, but I just took too long to line up my shot and pull the trigger, so I had to retreat. With only 10 more people left and 4 teams, one team in which was our team with a full house, we set out and pushed the next zone quickly before the timer ran out. This is so we were in position much sooner rather than later. After viewing the map, the circle was pretty terrible. No buildings that we could push to. However, I anticipated that it would push towards living quarters as it was in the corner of the map and logically it would not go into the sea. So I marked a waypoint that would give us a vantage on top of the Nova 6 factory and keep us sheltered from enemy fire. As I picked up the bounty and knew where they were, I set up on the balcony to have the higher ground.
Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy soldier incoming.
I threw a Molotov at the doorway that the gas would force them to come out of, so they would have no chance but to jump out of a window that could expose them even more. As they pushed out, myself and my teammate were able to eliminate one person from their team, but the bounty made it. So while I waited for the bounty to come upstairs into the Nova factory, my teammates pushed on towards living quarters.
Gas moving in.
Sure enough, my patience finally paid off and I eliminated the bounty, bagging more cash and reducing the player count by 1. At this point, there were only 5 more players left, 3 of which from my team and 2 from another team. Things were looking good. Finally, my other teammates took both kills and we won the game. This was a pretty good game. Although we had 0 comms among one another, we were able to get our heads working in tandem, pushing as a team and signalling where necessary. It just goes to show that with the correct people, mindset and non-vocal callouts, things can be just as good as with a team that maintains a good verbal communication. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for awesome Call of Duty content. And also, hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I make a new upload. Thanks for watching and take care.
Turn it up.